try to be myself and see what the Lord has to say. Tonight I want to go to a familiar text, a very familiar text, and a very familiar idea. This text is found in Joshua chapter 6. Very familiar text and a very familiar idea. It's going to take a little time for us to set up. But what my prayer is that at the end we'd be able to end in the same place. It's going to require us to do some unpacking that's not usually done. But what I want to do is reorient the way that we think about Joshua. Further, what I want to do is to make sure that we fully understand what God is saying through this oft-told story. In Joshua chapter 6, for our study, we're just going to read just this, maybe this one or two verses in Joshua chapter 6. We'll begin in verse 26 of Joshua 26. Joshua 6:26. And the word of the Lord reads in this way, And Joshua endured them at that time, saying, Cursed be the man before the Lord, that rises up and buildeth this city Jericho. He shall lay the foundations thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. Tonight we're going to share from the subject, Do not rebuild Jericho. Don't rebuild Jericho. Touch somebody and tell them, don't rebuild Jericho. There are many metaphors in Jewish history and many metaphors in Judaism. Few metaphors are as charged and as important than the metaphor, the very important metaphor of Jericho. Jericho was known in the ancient world for its impenetrable walls. In fact, in the ancient world, the idea of throwing stones and hiding your hand comes from a military method used by the army of Jericho. They would attack as ferociously as they could. And then as soon as your army readied, they'd run back behind those gates. They would throw stones and then hide behind those impenetrable walls. Invading armies would come to Jericho, and the people of Jericho would simply laugh at those armies because they knew as long as they were behind those walls, they were all right. The wall